Okay, let's talk Justice League, Zack Snyder's cut, director's cut. What did you guys think? Better than the first one?
It is definitely a better movie than what was released theatrically. Um, and I'm actually still baffled now in retrospect at why they released the movie that they did and why they cut it the way they did. Um, Not that I think they should have released a 4 hour movie. There is a way to cut this movie down to 3 hours without giving us what we got in the theaters. Um,
Totally. So
namely, everybody but the Flash all the slow mo needs to be taken
that
out.
was like the first thing I wrote down in my notes. It's like there's an insane amount of slow mo for no reason.
I mean, you got to the scene where Lois Lane slow motion puts a cup of coffee on a car. Like,
Yeah, it was like seriously.
That's when you know it's too much. Yeah, that's really funny.
right?
Like I understand Barry's like arc being slow mo because he moves really fast, but like everyone else does not need slow mo.
Yeah, no, I think you could easily cut a lot of, at least by speeding up some scenes. But anyway, that's my first comments. Your guys' thoughts?
I loved your comment on the Lois Lane.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could trim 20 minutes off of this, like right off the bat, if you
that was like
played
5
the slow mo
minutes.
scenes at normal speed.
Yeah.
You can cut 5 minutes of Lois Lane having tea.
Yeah,
there are like a bunch of little bits in this movie that don't need to be there.
yeah.
You know, one that I really liked that was completely unnecessary, but I loved it. It was the Aquaman. It was so weird. You know, when Aquaman is doing like the thing with it's like a shampoo commercial. You know, because like
Oh yeah,
his hat. You know, you can slow motion, the wind, the waves, and his beautiful hair, and the women singing before that. It was so bizarre. It was like a it was certainly not something you see in a normal superhero movie, but
yeah,
it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved how weird it was.
yeah. I actually don't mind that scene as much. I actually think a lot of the character moments in this one are good, but I just think that pacing is off because of the slow mo. And there's only a couple of things that within the movie, the epilogue we can talk about later, but like that I feel like there's only really one thing I would cut out from the movie, and I think Ian, you've seen it,
Lois Lane.
that's the Martian Manhunter scene because it's completely pointless.
Oh, I saw that and I was like, that's definitely the Martian Manhunter, right? And I was like, and I saw it and I'm like, okay, so is he going to show up? Is he going to be part of the Justice League? And so far that hasn't happened.
No, but which scene? Because there's two.
Yeah, right. Well, he hasn't seen the second one yet, but the second one,
you're talking about the first one.
The first one, yeah, it's a completely. I was like, and just to me, that scene up until that is a great scene, and then all of a sudden, he transforms into Henry Lennox, and then he's
yeah, it was a little bit weird, yeah.
And we can actually, I know the reason why that scene is in there. We can talk about it later.
Why?
But to me,
why is it?
Because Zack Snyder actually wanted to have Green Lantern in this movie at the very end, but Warner Brothers wouldn't let him shoot that, and so he added that in there instead.
But it's not Green Lantern, is it?
No, but like that was his way of getting around it for whatever reason.
Well, yeah. I mean that. Yeah, I mean it's a weird scene. I don't know. Yeah,
it's just out of place. But otherwise, like
good scene.
You know, for all the criticism I have on sort of Zack Snyder's take on several superheroes, this is a much more cohesive movie, and a lot of the plot beats for characters are pretty important. And I just do not understand all the stuff they cut for the theatrical release, and particularly the Cyborg stuff. I mean, Cyborg has a character arc in this. He's probably the heart of the movie.
Well, yeah, I think Cyborg is cool as hell in this movie.
And in the theatrical cut, he's just like there without really a purpose, and it's a shame that they like cut him. They cut a lot of his dad, Silas Stone scenes, which are like there's so much like emotional core with this character, like that's actually important, you know.
Well,
Mhm.
I think it goes beyond that. That's the first comment or the first thing that I thought watching the movie. For me, it was kind of shocking to be honest, because I was expecting a different version of Justice League. I wasn't expecting a different movie. To me, this was a different movie. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same movie. I think it's there's some overlap perhaps, but I mean it's a completely different thing essentially.
So, as someone who remembers the theatrical cut, I am actually very surprised the amount of stuff that's in here that is not like the stuff. There's stuff that I thought had clearly must have been Joss Whedon stuff from the first movie that's actually Zack Snyder stuff. And all I can think of is the scenes that Joss Whedon actually shot for the movie were bad.
Terrible.
Like some of the stuff
Not
he
just
added
bad,
in, I'm just
terrible.
like, well, and some of the stuff he added in to be funny is like this stuff. Those jokes were bad. Like the one where Barry falls on Wonder Woman,
I was
and
I was of the opinion that it wasn't even terrible. You know, I was of the I had an idea that the movie was okay, passable, but
yeah,
after watching this version, I think that that was absolutely like a big turd. You know, like
yeah,
it's not even like close to being reasonable considering the movie that it could have been.
yeah. I just find it inexcusable, like why they cut it the way they did, and why they cut out pretty much every character of color too. That's actually alarming to me. Like Silas Stone's assistant at Star Labs is actually an important comic book character.
Mhm.
Um, you
Well,
know,
I don't have a problem with maybe that character because it's a small character, but I mean Cyborg is like a main character in the
he's the
movie.
main character and his dad
It's
too.
weird.
And
It's weird that he wasn't like in the original. I mean I shouldn't even say the original, the whatever they the third that they released. I mean, he's like pretty much the main character in the movie.
he's so good in this.
He's
It,
really
like
good. I mean, I don't yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, he was really good. I mean, I don't know, I was going to say he was the best. I don't know if he was the best, but he was certainly one of the coolest characters.
right. I just don't understand
Yeah, I
why.
really don't understand because he's like essentially he's not the main character, but he's a pretty big character in the movie.
I say he's the heart of the movie to me. Um,
Cyborg.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard
I would
to
say he's a
conceive
very
that they
pivotal
thought.
character.
Yeah, it's hard to conceive the idea that they decided to just eliminate that character because you really miss out on like a big part of the movie.
I mean he's basically got the emotional character arc of the movie. Like, he's the one who has to overcome, so much to where you'll eventually get to as well. There's a great flash scene actually at the end that I'm excited for you when you finally get to the end.
Well, maybe that's the movie. That's why the first movie was so disjointed because it was really missing a lot of like key stuff.
Yeah, and then the stuff they added in to me just didn't improve it at all. Like, and then in the color scale is so different. Like the other, like this theatrical cut has this orange red hue to brighten it up, and I'm just like, this actually didn't suit it. Actually, the darker sort of like, yeah, Zack Snyder likes his dark and gloomy, but there's it at least makes sense with what he's doing here.
Well, yeah, I thought that that was another thing that was so that's surprise number two. I was surprised how good the movie actually looks, you know, because the first one didn't even look good.
Yeah,
This
the
one,
reshoots were just
yeah,
awful.
it wasn't like it looked like a kind of a mediocre movie.
Right, and the CGI they did on Henry Cavill's mustache in the old movie, and like in
Yeah,
the movie, like
it
that
was
just looked so
it was
bad. Like,
really off.
how do you make Henry Cavill not look like a unit? Yeah, you CGI off his mustache.
it's weird. And this movie looks absolutely amazing. This movie looks terrific.
I
So
will
I
say
haven't.
I felt like the early Themyscira green screen stuff was not that great, but I was
Yeah,
okay with it.
I would say there were a few scenes with green screen where I was like, "Oh no, this is gonna be Wonder Woman 1984 all over again."
Hmm.
But like keeping an eye on like special effects, I think they definitely got better. There were just like a few like really tiny things um, in my course of watching it so far where I was like, that looks like shit.
Well,
Like there are
it's
a few instances where like metal folds or like there are like a few blood spurts into like the bank robbery scene with Wonder Woman. Like this doesn't look good, but everything else has been fine. So I'm willing to let those tiny squabbles go.
So
What I
that
do want
early,
to ask about is how do you guys feel about the 4:3 aspect ratio? Is that how the original or the theatrical release was
no,
shown?
no, he did
uh,
he just did it like this because honestly, I feel like he's actually trying to see if the Warner Brothers will put it in IMAX because he shot it in this way to be IMAX.
that's
But
I gotta say that's the one thing I didn't like about the movie. Annoyed me a little bit.
I got over it
I
as
got
it went
over it, but
on.
it is annoying. It is annoying, and
Yeah,
it's especially annoying because it doesn't make sense. This movie, everybody's gonna watch it on HBO Max, so it's kind of annoying.
So I haven't seen the theatrical release, so I don't have any like frame of reference for what was improved versus the original. But for me, and
Everything was improved.
yeah, I mean, I would say this movie is good. 4 hours is still my biggest complaint. I feel like he could have just instead of done like a 4 hour cut, he could have just been like, all right, I'm gonna do the non-Joss Whedon cut. Because I have a hot take that I think Joss Whedon has not done anything relevant since like the 90s.
hmm
Like everyone worships him amongst like the
Well,
sci-fi and
the Avengers.
like the nerdery communities. Yeah, but like some of them aren't that good. And
yeah. Age of Ultron's not good at all.
No, Age of Ultron is complete shit. It's like the worst Marvel movie. But
That was and that was his last movie.
I was talking about the first one. The first one is pretty decent.
Yeah, I would say, I think so. There are definitely things that he added in to this, but it does feel like this movie could have been a 3 hour movie without too much changes. Um, I'm not a fan of a lot of the epilogue stuff, but and I could have done without it.
I like everything in the movie, even the Lois Lane, making tea. I like that. But or having tea or whatever
But like,
you're doing.
it just, to me, it's pointless to have slow mo for. I mean, the early Wonder Woman scene actually has a moment where she's like doing really fast motion action, and I'm just like, that's perfect. Have everyone do that kind of action, and just have Barry do slow
Well,
mo.
no, but I'm not even disagreeing with you guys. I'm just saying that I like it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh no,
I agree with you. I mean, I think that certainly you can cut, here and there. I mean, obviously you don't need the tea scene or the coffee,
yeah.
and a bunch of other scenes. I mean, small scenes you don't really need them. Like the Martian Manhunter, you probably just like cross
You didn't
that
need him, and
altogether.
also
Yeah.
it creates a moment where at the end of the movie, this is a, but like, yeah, you kind of was like,
You don't need that scene at the end of the movie either. So
yeah.
yeah, you cut those little scenes and you end up with the movie that is like 3 hours and maybe 30 minutes. That's a lot more palatable already than 4 hours.
So I will say that like what this movie may also prove is that maybe we'd be better off if Warner Brothers just makes really cool mini series related events to their properties and puts them on and streams them, because 4 hours is more palatable as a mini series kind of thing on HBO Max rather than in theater. And
Yeah.
honestly, it gives you time to flesh it out. I mean, when people say, well, what would you cut content wise? I'm like, well, actually, you need the content for all the different characters because no one's met the Flash or Cyborg really prior to this movie.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't cut the main stuff. The main stuff that is like the main characters
which is why I think the
scenes.
streaming,
I wouldn't cut those scenes. I would cut the other scenes.
which is why I think actually this format on HBO Max is probably the best format for this. Like, I've been kind of thinking about this for a while that superhero and comic book related stuff may be better off with more time to breathe. Whenever you have to make it a 2 to 2.5 hour, inevitably something has to give because there's so much world building you often have to put in with a movie.
That's true. Then again, I mean, we do have fantastic superhero films, you know, like
Yeah.
The Dark Knight is a fantastic movie, you know, like just to give you an example. But I mean, there, you know, you can certainly make it work, but the problem with that, I don't think the problem is with superhero movies. I think the problem is with something like Justice League,
Where
which
there's so many characters.
yes, you have way too many characters, and they're all main characters. They're all characters that these are characters that have really their own movies. They have their own comic books. I mean, they're not really designed almost as secondary characters. You know, they have their own. Each character has their own world, their own characters, like
Yeah.
sidekicks and villains. So it's very hard to put all of that into one movie and make it look good. Even the Avengers, I mean, they've done a, you know, it feels very rushed, inevitably almost.
Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of agree. When you were, I'm wondering if Warner Brothers is going to start focusing a lot more on streaming, just because like HBO is just Max is just growing so much, and but then can they spend as much money on it? But you know,
But I think that you know, movies are a big money maker, so I do think that they want to make money with the movies as well. I mean, because if not, it doesn't even make sense financially. I mean, I don't know how Netflix makes sense financially. I think Netflix only makes sense because people buy the stocks, because they've been losing money since the beginning, you know. And I think, you know, maybe now they've had a one profitable year or something like that, but it's just it's very hard to you know, to justify the costs.
yeah, I don't know. I'll be
And
very curious. Like, you
in a
know, as
movie,
people
you know,
start.
you can make $1 billion with a movie, which is something that, you know.
I mean, they are moving forward with a lot of the movies. I think the next one we're supposed to get is actually the Shazam sequel, or
Mhm.
the Black Adam movie, which should
Yeah.
be that should be interesting. I mean, The Rock as Black Adam is going to be amazing.
And
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think their thinking is that movies are going to come back. You know, the pandemic is going to be over, and they'll be able to make movie money again.
Yeah, I don't know when I'll be back in theaters, but it will be interesting.
But even though they're losing money with these movies, because it's the beginning of HBO Max, that's kind of a good thing, because it's you know, even though you're losing money with these movies, at least a lot of people have subscribed and have joined HBO Max because of these movies.
Yeah,
And people, I joined when it was released, so because I already had HBO Now. So I saw from the beginning, you know, I mean, this is the best, in my opinion, it's the best streaming service. I mean, it has the best content. It's, you have so much good stuff on HBO. It's crazy. But a lot of people weren't on board from the beginning, but now I think they come in because of the superhero movie, but they stay because they realize, you know, there's just so much fantastic content in there.
yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, they definitely do have some quality content. I was flipping through before I started up the movie, and I noticed they had Black Dynamite, and I was like, "Ooh, that's
yeah.
pretty tempting."
What random aside, but a show that you might want to watch on it is called Made for Love.
Uh-huh.
It's a very good new age kind of terror love story. Basically, a high tech billionaire, sort of like an Elon Musk type, who is a recluse, puts a chip in his wife's head so that he can see everything she sees.
And then finds out she's cheating or something.
No, she finds that out and is like, "What the hell?" And
That was already an episode of Black Mirror.
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, but
Yeah, I'll check it out.
So going back to Justice League, what was your guy what was your guys favorite characters? Because for me it's hard. I mean, but I'm gonna go with the Flash. The Flash was really cool.
so normally in any kind of these situations, the Flash is always my favorite. But I would say for this movie, Cyborg was, but the Flash would come second.
Oh, for me it's the other way around.
Yeah,
I have a hard time picking between the two. I would definitely
Man,
say I think
that's
Barry
unanimous.
was. Yeah, I mean, I would say Barry has done very right
Yeah.
So as a kid watching the animated Justice League, I always saw Barry as being like, the irreverent smartass.
Mhm.
And what I really appreciated about this cut is that there aren't like cheap jokes in it, like the way you get with like a handful of Marvel movies. Like
Well, the
they
theatrical
sprinkle
cut,
them in there, so you're like, ha 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 ha.
well, that was a big problem with the theatrical cut. Joss Whedon put on a lot of these like really cheap jokes that
Yeah.
a lot of them weren't even good.
Sure.
No, it was a different movie. That's why it's so surprising. It's like a different movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, and so it's just so crazy because like the Flash and Cyborg are the characters that we need to learn and see the most, and the theatrical cut did a terrible job with them. And in this cut, it
Yeah.
gives us so much more. Like
And
it
that's what
gives
I
you
was
more
gonna
of
ask. That's what I was gonna ask you about the Flash. Does he have a full arc in the? I don't think so. In the original movie, he doesn't, right?
No, well, they don't have the scene in the original where he's trying to find a job, and then he runs into Iris West. They don't name her in this, but that's supposed to be Iris, who's his
Mhm.
love interest in the comic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They don't have that whole scene with the slow, which is, I was like the poking through the glass into that, like that's the slow-mo stuff you need, like,
Oh, totally.
and
That was
that was
so good. It was so good. And
I mean,
it's
a
a
little
really
bit weird with the hot dog with the wheaties grabbing the wiener.
Yeah, he just
Oh,
grabs
that's
the
so
glizzy
good.
and puts it in his pocket. It was like, what is he genuinely doing with that? But like, it's
That is-
funny in like a subtext way where
Yeah.
you're like, like, what a goofball, just putting a hot
That's
dog
one
in
of
his
my
pocket.
that's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. That's
Right, and that's not in the
fantastic.
theatrical cut, and
No.
it's like,
Yeah, like that's a good joke. Whereas like him, I don't know. Like I think they did a good job of cutting him out because I have a hard time thinking of like cheap shitty jokes that were in this. But if you want to talk about like any Marvel movie, like I can probably find a few.
well, like, so there's a scene in the theatrical cut where he stumbles and he and Wonder Woman fall down and he falls on top of her, and it's
Uh-huh.
like an accidental grope scene that's played off for laughs. As it's as bad as the cringiest anime scenes where that
Right.
and I just keep thinking, like, to me, I'm like, whoa, Joss Whedon added that in and he thought that would liven the movie up. Like, it was just bad. And
It was bad, yeah. But I'm thinking pretty much every character in this movie is really cool. They have really cool arcs, and a lot of it was completely missing from the original. I mean, this movie's it's a different movie, and they all have cool arcs. I would say, yeah, Cyborg and the Flash are maybe the standouts, but I really like Aquaman. I really liked Wonder Woman. I really like Batman. Superman, so because he's absent in a lot of it, but
he's absent for most of the movie.
yeah. So I would
What
just
I
give
will
it
say is that,
good.
so I'm gonna bring up some other scenes that were put in the old one as to why things started the way they did. Like, the old movie starts off with Batman fighting a parademon in Gotham, and then he defeats him, and he like explodes on a wall, and then some text shows up that like is ominous and explains what's gonna happen. Like, that's how ridiculous the theatrical cut starts.
Oh man.
Now, not that I actually find the start of this one all that great. That Superman screaming, waking up the mother boxes, I think is kind of stupid. Like, I was like, they could have woken up at any other time in history when Superman wasn't on the planet. You know, if truly his demise is what they're like, oh, Steppenwolf, you can now come to Earth now and do all this. Like, I'm like, that was dumb. But
That's
it's still much better. It's so much better than what was there before.
Yeah, they kind of, yeah, that's a big plot hole. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, and then something that wasn't in the theatrical cut is the entire scene that Diana explains what happened in the past.
Yeah,
like the whole thing of Earth's.
Really, they cut that? That wasn't in the 3 act. That's like an important scene.
Yes.
Honestly, this movie actually makes sense. The first one didn't make sense. That's the biggest difference.
From what I remember in the old movie or in the theatrical cut, Diana just like has a 2-sentence explainer and just says that like Earth's warriors banded together and fought off. And like I have So again, it's like this stuff is important for the movie story-wise, and it makes it cohesive. I still have problems with some of the execution. Like, I don't get why we're supposed to be scared of Darkseid if Ares was able to defeat him. Um, when Wonder Woman defeated Ares, of course. So like there's some explainer stuff they need to make that more important. Like as a comic book person, I'm like, well, you can explain that, and like that's actually before Darkseid became Darkseid, when he was when he hadn't gotten the Omega Force. And other silly things like the fact that not only are the mother boxes here, the anti-life equation is here. Like these are quibbles I have that are like writing wise, but overall the movie makes sense together, even with these quibbles that I have with it. And so
Yeah.
it's surprising to me that they cut out something like that, because that's a great explainer scene. It even introduces Green Lanterns for you with the one he murders, which holy crap, he just murdered a Green Lantern.
Yeah, just like willy-nilly.
And like, you know, it's just it like that's a good scene. It's a straight out of Lord of the Rings style, you know, like past.
Yeah, that was clearly the inspiration, wasn't it?
Right. And like, you know, as much as I can complain about logistical consistencies within the scene, why do you cut that? Other things that I'm trying to remember, like what do I remember that also was
I think we just need to get past the fact that they completely like Joss Whedon completely killed the movie, and
and I think it's not
I'm
maybe not just him. I think his Warner Brothers was just like they were worried that this movie was going to be bad, and then when Snyder had to step away due to a tragedy, they basically took the movie away from him and did it. And it's shocking to me. It makes me want to see actually also the David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, because Warner Brothers also recut that movie and it was shit.
They did.
Yeah.
I really still like that movie, so I didn't love it, but I did like it. I think it was a pretty decent movie. So I wonder if there was a really good movie in there.
Yeah, I wonder that too. Like, I mean, you even said like you didn't mind the original Justice League until you saw
Well,
this.
yeah, but it wasn't great. Like I certainly like Suicide Squad better than Justice League. Like I just thought it was mediocre and impassable, right? I mean, I didn't think it was like so bad that you couldn't watch it, or you know, I thought it was so.
Oh, I just remembered another different scene. So you know the scene I'm complaining about with Martian Manhunter so because it was Martha Kent and Lois Lane talking. That scene is different in the Joss Whedon cut, where they're in the Daily Planet and they're discussing things. She's going to work, but she's doing fluff pieces and stuff, and she's not being a hard-hitting reporter. And some other reporter comes in and mansplains stuff to her, and like it's a very like weird mansplaining sexist moment, which now in retrospect, given how shit we know Joss Whedon is to women, makes more sense. But like, why did he have to have that scene over the one that Snyder cut had? Because up until the Martian Manhunter part of that, that's a lovely scene between Martha Kent and Lois Lane.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like it's a fantastic scene. And then like I felt so cucked because he turns into Martian Manhunter, or she does. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like Martian Manhunter is going to be important now. And apparently he's not.
Yeah. That's an issue I have with this cut overall is like, they actually didn't need Superman if Martian Manhunter was around. Like, you know, they're all like, Martian Manhunter is pretty much as strong as Superman.
Is he?
Yeah. I mean, he's ridiculous powerful. And it also makes me a little upset if Martian Manhunter has been, because actually the actor who they have him as, Henry Lennox, has been in all of the Zack Snyder movies. He's that general that was in the first Man of Steel movie. And so if he's been around this whole time, like, what have you been doing, Martian Manhunter? Like, we could have used you. They could have, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's a minor flaw.
I know, but to me, it's stuff like that I'm like, that keeps me from saying this is great, because it's like that just to me says that Zack Snyder just wants to play with all of his little toys and put them all in there without much consistency.
Yeah.
But again, it's not
But it's
to me,
surprising. It's surprising how much consistency the movie actually had, because I thought it
yeah,
was going to be a disjointed mess.
yeah,
Considering everything.
yeah. And so again, it's again, this movie is a bit of a surprise. And
It's usually I usually think that a movie's going to be good and it turns out bad. This for me was kind of the opposite.
well, yeah, I came in with this still like, I granted, like, I don't think it's great, but I'm like, well, this was at least like I can enjoy a lot of this. Like, you know, I can enjoy every one of the Justice League characters. Like, I like them. I love the fact that they both gave. I love the fact that they gave Barry slow motion flash scenes,
Mhm.
and then also quick cut stuff
Like
that's
high
like,
speed. Yeah.
yeah, like the one where he's saving people from the rubble. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks great, and you like get a good feel for the character. Um,
and you
I feel
and I
like
feel like
Batman was kind of lame in this movie. I haven't seen him do anything cool yet.
he is kind of just there. Um,
Like, especially the first time they're fighting Steppenwolf, he like kind of just gets whomped on.
yeah, yeah. Actually, you have a good point. Like,
I did like Batman though. I did like him in this movie. I thought Ben Affleck
Why are
was
you looking
good.
at adult diapers again?
Is Emily gonna participate
No, she's just disappointed in me.
in you? What did you do?
I found an iPhone case that has it's just a stock photo of an old man with a crutch wearing an adult diaper,
Uh-huh.
like as an iPhone case,
Okay.
and she doesn't find it as funny as I do.
Doesn't
oh,
find it funny. Oh, well. It's
but
okay.
yeah, I would say I would agree with Ian that though Bruce is maybe the weakest character arc in this. Aquaman didn't get too much of an arc other than being angry at Barry a lot, which was actually I found hilarious. Like the whole scene where they're fighting Superman and Barry gets in the way of Aquaman a couple times, and he's like, and I was just like, you know what? I like seeing these guys quarrel with each other too.
Yeah.
Like that. That is something that's important to dynamics to have, like, people not necessarily get along all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I liked all the characters in the movie. One thing that maybe I didn't really like that much was the fact that the ending, it doesn't have a definitive ending. It's kind of like open ended.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a cliffhanger, like some people described it. I feel that it's not quite a cliffhanger. It's
So do we
more
know
of
for
an
sure whether
open-ended.
this was actually supposed to be Justice League Part 1, or is this Part 1 and Part 2 put together?
No, this was part one, but clearly he knew that there was going to be no part two, and he still decided to go with sort of his
Hmm.
original idea. And he says it's because it's a genre movie, so he wanted to to follow the tradition of making it like open ended, like setting it up for a sequel. But in my opinion, that doesn't really make sense if you know there's going to be no sequel, to set it up for a sequel. I mean, yeah, you set it up for a sequel because there probably will be a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is clearly set up to have them have a big battle with Darkseid.
Yeah, at some point. But it's not like there's a mystery to be solved or something that it feels like super incomplete. It just he could, knowing that there's not going to be a second one, he could have wrapped things up a little bit nicer. But yeah, it's a minor. I mean, for me, that's a minor problem. I mean, I still think that the movie is like complete enough that it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like, as much as I've said before, I disagree with a lot of Zack Snyder's takes on things, but I think I would have wanted to see how this would finish up. Because it does seem like he's going to play with a lot of different themes from the comics that I would enjoy. We obviously we're gonna get a Green Lantern at some point, and they wanted it also to be the John Stewart Green Lantern, which is an important character to have for both representation, and he's just a great character. And they teased the Atom, who is
Well,
that's the character who is the assistant for Silas Stone.
yeah.
Like in the comics, he becomes the Atom,
Right.
who's
It-
awesome. Like,
Is that the Asian guy?
yeah,
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
even in this movie he almost doesn't appear. I mean, he has a pretty small part.
right, but I think it sets up for him.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah.
And it's a shame because like I kind of want this guy to get his own movie now because I'm like I want to see the Atom. Like the Atom has such cool stuff. He's basically like a cooler version of Ant-Man.
Well, I think he does appear in that TV universe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's played by the guy that used to play Superman, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon Routh. Um,
He
yeah,
kind of
that's again. It's
he
another
got
weird
he
thing.
got demoted from Superman to the Atom.
He had a lot of fun on the CW, or he's even said that like he really enjoyed his time on that. He really should have been a good Superman. It's unfortunate his movie
Well,
was
he
yeah,
was a good Superman, and he just got one movie, but he got his movie.
but the other movie was the whole rest of the movie wasn't good. That was the problem. He was a good Superman.
Yeah, well, that wasn't a very good movie. I agree with you.
Yeah. I guess that's another director people used to love a lot, and now we're like, oh, I guess Bryan Singer is also a shit, you know.
Personally, it seems that way, but he did make some good superhero movies because I think he made some of the good X-Men movies as well.
Yeah.
So he's kind of good with superhero stuff.
Which is weird why he didn't do a good Superman movie.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he's just better with X-Men.
Yeah, but like I'm trying to think, what else is a difference between the old one? Where are you at, Ian, right now? Are you near the end or?
I haven't been watching this in the meantime. I didn't want to like get distracted and miss stuff. So
Well, in the theatrical cut, there's also sorry.
you can throw out spoilers. I don't care.
In the old theatrical cut, there's this dumb subplot where Barry has to save this family that's living in the town that Steppenwolf has taken over, and they have to like get them out and everything. And it's like this weird little subplot that's all Barry is involved in doing. So he's not actually involved in fighting Steppenwolf.
Mhm.
And it's just sort of like, why do they demote Barry to just being the guy who takes care of this like this family that they've tried to establish for the full movie for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really weird decisions in the first one.
Also, like Superman wears his black outfit in this movie, where in the old one they had him revert to his original red and blue, and it's like, no, when Superman revives in the comics, he wears a black suit
Right.
for a while. In fact, give me 1 second.
Do you have the actual comic book?
Yes.
Nice. Well, something that I appreciate about Zack Snyder is that I do think he's a good director. But I do like his take on these superheroes, like this like kind of like dark take on it. You don't need to do that. I mean, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, see, Black Suit Superman. This is when he returns.
Yeah.
Also,
He looked
Steel was awesome. He was a guy named John Henry Irons who tries to help out when Superman is dead and creates a full suit of he basically creates a steampunkish but like completely high-tech steel outfit, and
Nice.
he fights with a giant hammer and he flies around wearing Superman's crest. He's an awesome character. But
that's Steel. I think they even made a Steel movie.
Yeah, no, the black suit. I was.
Didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They
I've never seen it.
In the cartoons they did it, and I have. This is classic stuff right here.
Superman.
Yeah, I have that. I have the death of Superman. I have the world without. Yeah, I have a lot of those compendium. I don't have the original releases because of course that stuff is too expensive.
Yeah.
But
No, I mean Superman is a great character. He's one of my favorites, one of my favorite superheroes.
Yeah, maybe I can maybe borrow these. This is great stuff. This is some good stuff.
Sure, man. I like that. Yeah.
Um,
That's why I like, even though I like Marvel, I kind of like DC better because I really grew up reading more DC, and I,
mm,
I still enjoy it more. I really like Batman and Superman and the Justice League. I like that stuff a lot. The Flash.
yeah, remember how I said the Flash is my favorite?
Yeah, the Flash is great. I mean, I love the Flash.
Look at all these Flash comics.
Oh wow. Well, I
And you
mean,
got Flashpoint in there and everything.
the
Yeah.
Flash is a fantastic superhero. He's really cool.
I mean, I feel like the Flash is the nerdiest superhero because
He is
all of
very
his
nerdy.
stuff is well, and not just that he's nerdy, it's that like all of his powers just involve stuff involved with pure science, like
Yeah, science
the
stuff.
ability.
And also
His speed.
the Flash was he was the first character that got his own TV show, live action TV show, I think. Do you remember that?
Well, no, Wonder
There
Woman
was-
had one back in the day.
Oh
with Peter
yeah, but that
Parker.
was like too long ago. I don't think I ever watched that because that was before my time.
And then there was also the
Arrow.
Adam West Batman.
Oh, I did watch that. Yeah, that was really old though. But yeah,
But yeah,
I
no,
did watch the syndication of the Batman show, and that was a great show. Yeah,
Right, but you are right though. There was the show starring
in the '90s. I don't think anybody
the
else
90s.
had any of the other superheroes had a show in the '90s, and it was the Flash.
Well, there was the
show.
Superman, the Lois and Clark.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was later. It was almost 2000, but I think or
Yeah.
like second half of the '90s. But it was oh yeah, that show was great. Yeah, I really like that show. Yeah.
With Dean Cain
Oh
Yeah.
man, it was so good.
and Terry Hatcher. Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
by today's standards, it wasn't good, but back then, I
Right.
thought it was just like the best. I loved it.
But yeah, no. But my point about the Flash is that like his powers, there's so many cool stories that they do with it, like the different ways they use because speed fundamentally affects so many things in physics, and to allows you so many cool things. I mean, the dude can vibrate his molecules to travel through solid objects. He can, create wind tunnel effects, travel back in time. The effects of which come some of like the craziest. I mean, you mentioned Flashpoint.
Mhm.
Like there's that's why I'm always excited. That's why this movie made me happy because they did better by Barry Allen this time.
Oh, totally.
I still
Very
love
good.
Cyborg's character in this, but like there's a moment in the end that Barry gets like his true hero moment in this one that isn't in the theatrical cut. I'm just like why did you take this away from him? This movie has a moment, like it was a moment that kind of moved me because it's the ultimate hero moment that the Flash does where he has to do something to save everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Flash was great.
Because it's a
thought the
powerful
Flash was
moment.
fantastic. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, we
Oops.
I just come back to is like why did they do this? Like, there's so much, and I'm still of two minds of this because I'm still upset that this movie happened because people just annoyed the hell out of Warner Brothers online for so long. And I kind of don't like rewarding internet trolling, but it also got us a better movie. And it gave something for Zack Snyder, who I think, as much as I can complain about him, I think he's actually overall a good dude. Hollywood is filled with a lot of bad people. I think Zack
Absolute
Snyder,
scumbags. I
Yeah,
think Zack Snyder is not
Snyder
one
is-
of them.
yeah, because I think when you hear people talk about working with him, like all the actors love him, and they stand by
He seems to be
every
a cool
part.
dude. He seems to be a cool guy.
Like people told him, don't go see the movie when they saw what they were cutting to it. They're like, it's not. And so I'm happy for him. you know, I disagree with his takes on things sometimes, but I'm glad that as an artist and as a good dude, he got his due. And I
Oh, totally.
and I
And
hope
it's
that
so
this is
it's also, I mean, it's you know, in the great scheme of things, you know, it's just a movie, you know, it's just like, you know,
yeah,
it's not that important, but for him, you know, more than anyone else, it is important because I mean, he had a pretty big personal tragedy, and because of that, like very unfairly, they took away something from him that was I mean, he worked on that movie probably for like 3 years or something like
right. I
that, I
mean,
imagine.
it's a passion of his.
Yeah,
You know,
so it was something that he dedicated at least a couple of years of his life to doing that, and not only that, most importantly, I mean that killed his career for a while. You know, like nobody was gonna hire him again, essentially, for a movie this big again. Maybe Netflix, you know, because they hire everybody that they can get. But no, honestly, I mean, because if there's a free agent, they'll snap the free agent. But I mean, he unless he did very well, like with the Netflix zombie stuff, which I'm not sure, you know, it's gonna go that
is he
way. But
doing he's doing a Day of the Dead thing
yeah,
or
it's kind of like a zombie movie that's
Oh,
gonna come out. It's called Army of the Dead, so I think
oh
it's an
yeah,
original.
he's remaking Army of the Dead. That's right.
Yeah, but essentially, I mean, it really harmed his career. And I mean, again, it's in the great scheme of things. I mean, he's gonna be, you know, he's probably like rich already. I mean,
Yeah.
he would be fine. But I mean, it's unfair, and it was because like something happened that was a personal tragedy, and I think it's just nicer this way for sure.
Right. You know, I don't like sometimes how he is unconcerned with people and he's more into this idea of these monolithic, like godlike beings, like being outside of everything else and they can do what they want. But he deserves to make the movies that he sets out to make and not have someone take it away. And I hope that what this helps with is that perhaps maybe this will just let studios get out of the way of their directors. Like, you
True.
know, if a movie bombs, so what? You know, you have all this money, like, you know, just let it bomb on its own merits. Don't ruin it and then have it bomb anyway. Like,
I think I understand that they get scared a little bit, and I understand that, yeah, if something looks like it's really gonna, you know, go off the rails, okay, yes, you do something about it. But yeah, like you hired the guy because he knows what he's doing, like you would think. So
mhm.
let him do his thing, you know.
Right. And if
Um,
you don't like what he's doing,
yeah, then you
then
kind of, yeah,
then
you can
yeah, you
change
can
one
fire
thing
him or
or
whatever and
yeah.
bring in someone else, but then also give the next person enough time to make the movie. I think they want to stick to their deadlines. Like Disney did that with Star Wars. They wanted to have a Star Wars out right away, but then they had to go with a new writer. The writer they initially hired said that like I need an extra year, and they're like, well, we don't want to do that. We want to do it. I'm like, let the guy write it an extra year. It'll end up better. You know, you don't need the return on investment right away, but that's what the money people want.
It's capitalism, man. It's
Yeah.
Disney's a publicly traded company, and they need to make the finances work.
And Warner Brothers is the same way. And it's just frustrating because like, you know,
I think they're the same way, but I think most film studios, they're a little bit better than Disney. I mean, they give a little bit more. I don't know if this is true, but Disney in particular, like in recent times, it seems to me that those movies are like a factory product. You know, like because
yeah,
they you know, okay, let's buy Star Wars. You know, $4 billion. Okay, so we need to make like 6 movies now. 6 movies in the next 6 years. All right, so in 1 year from now, we're gonna have the first movie. You know, it's like everything is very, very programmed and it's not organic. So it's really like a factory producing
right.
stuff.
I just hope this means Warner Brothers will just get out of the way of their directors. Hopefully they allow
Yeah.
James Gunn all the freedom he wants in his Suicide Squad movie, which looks fun. Like, holy crap, in that trailer, they have Starro
mhm.
and they have a guy going, we got a freaking kaiju in here. And I'm just like,
I think that movie is gonna be awesome. I
I'm
really
just
do.
like, holy crap, we're gonna get giant ass Starro in this.
And
That to me is a
Sylvester
win.
Stallone is in it even.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're
Awesome.
all it just looks like they're having like a shit ton of fun in that. Like, you know, Pete Davidson is in it as a member of the Suicide Squad. Like,
I mean, Warner Brothers, they come up with some really good movies, and yes, they screw up sometimes, but like
Well, but their screw-ups seem to be more that they just got in the way of the directors. Just let them make the movie. Like,
yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of the reason why they're so good is because they hire a lot of the best talent out there. Like
yeah,
Zack Snyder is really good, and then he was working obviously with DC, which is there's 100 years of great characters in that great source material. But they also have Christopher Nolan. They have a bunch of like great talent working for them or with them. It's almost like the old studio system. What Warner Brothers is trying to do. They're
yeah,
trying
or
to
like
like snap up the great talent and create a working partnership with them.
yeah. I mean, getting Patty Jenkins to do Wonder Woman, getting James Wan to do Aquaman.
Yeah,
These
those
are
are other
that's
examples of really talented people.
yeah, that's and just let them to because and again, let them do what they want because the weakest part of the Wonder Woman movie is that final fight act. Patty Jenkins didn't want to do a big CGI fight at the end of the original Wonder Woman. Warner Brothers like, no, you need a big final act. That's like a big fight. But that's the weakest part of that movie, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just like maybe Warner Brothers needs to learn, get out of your own way and let the directors do their thing. Like,
They get scared. They get scared, and
yeah, they're worried they're gonna lose their money, but then
yeah.
you know,
Joker is an example of they led. I don't remember who directed Joker. It was maybe
uh
not a big name guy. I'm
was
not
it
sure.
James Mangold?
I think so. I don't know.
Wait,
No,
let
I
me
think
look it
I,
up.
I think he directed Logan.
Todd Phillips. Yeah, James Mangold did Logan. Todd Phillips did Joker.
Okay, so he's not a big name. I mean, not like Christopher Nolan. So
Well,
um,
Todd Phillips did the Hangover movie. That's all he's really known for. So
yeah. So wow, that's surprising. That's The Hangover, and then he did Joker. That's a
yeah,
weird.
Weird combination.
Yeah, weird combination.
I mean,
Uh,
sometimes you don't know what people are capable of doing.
no, absolutely, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like Quentin Tarantino doing Spy Kids.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. It's
That
a
one still
strange
blows me out of the
combination.
water.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
really? The Grindhouse guy?
well, but you're saying that, but actually, that happened because Robert Rodriguez is the guy that directs Spy Kids, and he did Grindhouse.
Mhm.
So that is a very weird career. That he makes like these like super adult movies and Tarantino like movies, and then he makes all these children movies as well. That's bizarre. But anyways,
I'm trying to look up what actually is the next couple of movies we're supposed to get within DC. I
well,
guess we get
the
Black
Suicide
Adam.
Squad
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that is going to come out this year. The Batman comes out next year.
Along with Black Adam, apparently it's this year
Black
as well.
Adam, yeah. So those are the movies next year.
I'm so excited for Black Adam.
I'm excited for the Batman.
Yeah, I mean that looks like it's gonna. They all look like they're gonna be cool. And again, I hope that in my mind, it's like, are they gonna allow this to just be to let the directors do their movies and if they're not good, they're not good. I mean, but they're gonna make money because they're comic book movies. It's like people will go and watch these movies.
Yeah, I feel like the problem now is even more than anything else. It's the pandemic. That's what's really going to determine if you're going to make some money or if you're going to lose a shitload of money.
Right.
I think it's also going to delay a lot of movies just because of how long they had to halt production and like at like so many different levels between like shooting, post production, contract work, like all of it. Becomes a huge change of pace for everything, which is why I don't think you're going to see a Star Wars movie in 2021.
Yeah. Oh, The Flash comes out next year too.
Oh, that's going to be a cool one if it does.
Yeah. I mean,
I think some of those movies might be postponed. I'm not really sure. I think because I mean these film studios, they're losing a lot of money. The thing is, the good thing about it, it didn't used to be a good thing, but it's a good thing in this period that all those film studios, they belong to really big companies, so they are making money in some other ways.
So
Otherwise, I mean, they would go under probably.
so I want to point out something that has me really excited about the Flash movie is that not only is Ben Affleck going to be in it as Batman,
Michael Keaton.
yeah, Michael Keaton is as well.
Apparently, the guy that is gonna play Batman is like really upset about it. Patterson.
Oh,
Oh,
that he's
Robert
not.
Pattinson.
Yeah,
He's really upset about it. That's the rumor that he's really mad at Warner Brothers.
yeah. It's weird that they're doing Ben Affleck in this one when they're moving forward with Robert Pattinson. But I just like the fact that we're doing different. Like it seems like they're gonna be having fun with the Flash's powers in that movie, and I'm all here for that.
I almost like it's gotten to a point that I almost like Warner Brothers is like completely all over the place with these movies. Like every movie goes into in its own like little direction, you know. Like they're not even like doing the same actor. You know, Batman is like three different guys.
Yeah,
Like it's like all over the place, but it seems to work somehow
embrace
magically.
it.
Magically, it works.
DC is the multiverse. Like that's like their. I can pull you another comic, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
They're really embracing that.
Yeah, on the TV series, they had a Crisis on Infinite Earths where the Barry Allen on the TV show met with the Ezra Miller Flash from the movies.
Really,
There was a scene. Yeah, they brought him in for that. It was a big secret and it was a big event. I'm just like, you know what? I hated that because back then we didn't know we had to jet with a Snyder cut. I was like, I hated that movie. I love this. I love that they're allowing this to be a thing. And just like embrace the multiverse. And if you want to at some point, do a Crisis on Infinite Earth events and say, okay, we're gonna pick and choose what things we decide stay in the universe. That's just you can just blow it up as many times as you want.
I agree. And another thing that I want to say, this just as the one way, and I know I really like this movie is that I even want to go back and watch Batman versus Superman again.
I'm not there.
So I know I like this movie a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you could consider this like this is the Zack Snyder trilogy: Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League. Like that's his trilogy at this point.
Yeah. I think, look,
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna end up liking Batman versus Superman because I really like Man of Steel. I really like
Maybe
Justice
the
League.
movie does maybe retroactively make Batman vs Superman
Yeah,
better.
I think it does.
I do have like I wrote a whole essay at one point on how Batman v Superman could have been done so much better. I basically just have like this was such a giant missed opportunity. But I guess maybe in taken in context with these three movies, they work together better.
I think that's gonna be the case, fortunately.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're kind of all over the place, but somehow things are starting to work out.
Yeah. And I guess I like the fact that they're allowing their properties to be on their own too. Like, Aquaman is they're gonna do all their movies on their own. Same with the Wonder Woman movies.
Yeah.
The Shazam movies pretty much like they hardly even mention the other stuff like Superman, although they kind of like, joke around with like, are you Batman? Like, no, I'm not Batman. I really enjoyed Shazam.
I think that, yeah, I mean, that's going to probably be kind of big, because they're making the sequel, they're making Black Adam.
Yeah. And like the Black Adam movie is gonna have Hawkman in it too, and
So
they're going. I mean, whoever thought that doing a live action Hawkman was ever gonna work? A dude who fucking has just wings and fights with a big mace, like
they're going all out, man. They're going all out. I like that.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
just like
I think the pandemic kind of like put the brakes on it a little bit, but I mean, obviously there are worse things about the pandemic, but
yeah.
I think we'll probably like get over it. And we'll get, well, I'm not so sure, but this is a whole different conversation. I'm a little bit scared that movies are probably going to die off at some point,
Maybe movies outside of the big tentpole movies. I do think there's so many movies that like you don't need to watch them in theater. Like we've been doing a deep dive into most of the Oscar nominees to just watch those before the Oscars.
Mhm.
I'm like I wouldn't need to watch pretty much any of these in theater.
I read this really interesting article. I mean, it's not that interesting, but I thought it was sort of an interesting perspective. Um, and they said that in the article, the guy was saying like there was a big difference after what's the name of that movie? In the late '90s, Saving Private Ryan lost the Oscar to the Shakespeare movie, Shakespeare in Love, I think it was called, and after that, before that, a lot of the films that won Oscar for Best Picture were actually popular movies. Like some of them had big budgets, big actors. And after that, there was a it's almost like that created, okay, so an Oscar movie needs to be like this, like a smaller movie, kind of like artistic, if it can be related to actors and directors and theater, even better.
Right.
So, and it's kind of true. Like I thought after reading that article, I had to kind of like agree, yeah, before that, and even a little bit after that, you still had like those big movies that won, like Gladiator won the Oscar for Best Picture, but uh, yeah, it really in 20 years, a lot of the movies that won were not like big movies. Were kind of like smaller movies that kind of it's almost like they made them just to win the Oscar because they were expecting a certain kind of movie.
Yeah, I still say like the best movie of for me, the last like decade is Mad Max Fury Road. Like,
Oh, totally.
Which probably didn't even get considered to win the
it
Oscar.
got nominated.
It got
Actually,
nominated, yeah, but
George Miller
they're
got
probably never
nominated.
gonna give it to that movie.
Yeah, like, and so I think like if we do just talking about movies in general, like I do think that like really there should just be more streaming of certain kind of movies, and just allow the theaters to be the movie going to just go and enjoy a good time, eat an absurd amount of horrible overpriced popcorn, and just like watch something exciting, watch a movie that I can get up and cheer at. Like I haven't got up and cheered at a movie in a while. I think actually I did it at Avengers Endgame, even though the movie wasn't like brilliant. Like the ending scene of it made me go, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when Captain America grabs Mjolnir and wields it, I'm like,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm like, you got me. You got me.
You got me with the fan service, damn it.
So in the overall picture of superhero movies, what? Okay. In the overall picture of superhero movies, what do you guys think? How does this movie rank? Like, is it a great movie, good movie, decent movie?
I think it's decent. I wouldn't put it as maybe really good or great, but it definitely like it gave me something that I didn't know I actually really wanted or needed. Like, but it definitely gives me a much better like feeling about Zack Snyder's movie verse. We probably won't get any more of it, but I think it gave me something that I'm probably not going to see for a long while again, which is a Justice League movie with with all these characters done in a way that is serviceable, like
Yeah. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good movie so far. I don't have any like massive complaints, other than it being 4 hours, and I think this movie definitely could have been done in a 16:9 aspect ratio or some kind of widescreen format.
Yeah.
My biggest complaint
on a CRT TV.
Right. My biggest complaint is that the 4:3 at the best of times feels nostalgic, and at the worst of times feels like a cheap attempt to get like good like super scaling of otherwise crappy special effects.
No, it's really more of a technical problem. I mean, he talked about it. He wanted to make this movie for IMAX, which is like just an obsession of his. I think Nolan is the one that got him into this thing because he shoots a lot of movies for IMAX, at least some scenes. And actually, he did that for, I think it was Batman versus Superman. There are a number of scenes that were shot for IMAX, but in this movie, he wanted to do the whole movie for IMAX, which still, even if it got released in theaters, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because what's the percentage of people that actually go to IMAX theaters? Is probably fairly small. But
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the IMAX is a hard sell in 2020 when people are already not interested in or less interested in going to the movies in general. And then an IMAX ticket is like what, an extra $10?
Yeah.
And you have to go to one of like 2 locations in your state if you're lucky.
Yeah,
Still costs less than paying for some of the movie releases on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I'm just like kind of amazed that IMAX is still like around.
Well, it's especially true in the United States, you know. I mean, it's pretty expensive and, you know, difficult to find a place. But it's mostly like it's expensive and people don't want to pay. I mean, it costs you like $30 or something like that to go watch a movie in my IMAX. So
I would say if movies just became big tentpole blockbusters, I would almost see more of a reason to just make them shot in IMAX because then you go to a movie for a reason. But considering the majority of movie consumption is not done in such a way, it's, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It was a vanity thing for him. Or not a vanity. It was a passion choice for him because he's an artist and wanted to do things his own way.
Yeah, it's a passion choice. I understand that. It's just not a very good choice, really, if we're being honest about it. I mean, it's...
Yeah, no, I was texting a friend of mine while I was watching this and like, why is this in 4:3? And he's like, thank God, I thought something was wrong on my TV.
Like, I got really upset. It really got to me. Like, I was so upset that I couldn't like make it right on the TV, you know. And I Googled this and
it says so at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, no,
but at the time I don't think I was paying attention. I was
I wasn't paying attention either, and I Googled it, and then I kept Googling it because I wanted to find a way to fix it, but I couldn't. And that's the thing, Ian, is that there's no way to fix it. That's the problem. They would have to actually come up with a different version.
They have to do another release.
Yes.
Well, they are doing another release, but the another release is going to be a black and white version.
They already it's already out there.
I'll just put a black and white filter on if I want that.
No,
it doesn't require another release.
Well, they already did.
They did.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it, man.
You've got another 4 hours to spare.
Yeah, man. I mean,
sometimes when he's just hanging and he's rocking the baby to sleep, he's got to do something.
Yeah. It's a great movie, and I don't need to pay attention. I've already seen it. But I bet it's cool, you know, the black and white version.
I mean, the black and white silent version of Mad Max Fury Road is actually pretty excellent too.
Yeah, but that's like a totally different
work
from a creative standpoint. If they just literally did this movie but in black and white, that's nothing I couldn't achieve with an Instagram filter.
Right.
That's probably a little bit nicer, but you can watch it on HBO Max. You don't even need to use Instagram. It's already out there. It's called the gray version, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to put another 4 hours. I got a new anime to watch right now.
So yeah, I mean, for me, I would say the movie's almost great. I'm not so sure if I would say it's great, but it's close to being great. I mean, it's a great movie. I would say it's a great movie.
All I would say is that Warner Brothers messed up by when they wanted to release this movie. If they wanted to change it in any way, just speed up the slow-mo scenes and you'd have like a movie that was maybe as long as Avengers Endgame, and that would have been more easily marketable. That's all they needed to do.
Maybe I wouldn't mind if they released it in theaters, make it a little bit shorter and release it in theaters. But I don't know at this point. I don't know if there's a...
I'm not going to sit in a theater for 4 hours for a movie.
No, I'm saying a little bit shorter, like 3.5.
Yeah.
I don't know if there would be a market for it, though. There's a really rabid fan base for Zack Snyder, though. The Zack, what do they call it? The Snyderverse. So
yeah, and so that frustrates me that basically a rabid bunch of internet trolls like got this. That to me is still has a sour taste in my mouth because they created this campaign of release the Snyder Cut, but it's complicated because again, I'm actually happy for Zack Snyder now because he got to release the movie that he deserved to release, and he's vindicated by it. But I still feel like internet trolls were rewarded, and I hate that.
Yeah, I'm certainly glad that we got to see the movie though.
Yeah.
But I see your point for sure.
I just the fact that like I hate internet trolling in so many ways because it's led to a lot of the worst things that we experience right now. To the fact that we have even members of Congress that are basically internet trolls.
Right.
Well, the new obsession now, it's they wanna keep going. They wanna restore the Snyderverse now. So that's the new thing. That's the new trolling campaign. That's too much. I mean, it's okay.
Assemble the
It's
Snyder
okay.
stones.
We got the movie. Just chill. Yeah, it's a great movie. You can watch it in two colors. You can watch it in black and white now as well.
You got two movies out.
Yeah, but colors is a lot more colors.
That's eight hours. You know, 8 hours of Justice League if you watch it back to back.
No, I'm saying like if they want to help, maybe get Warner Brothers to let David Ayer recut his Suicide Squad, and you can see what that would have been like.
I think that would be a better campaign for those people.
Yeah,
I would like that. I mean, I know they're trying. There's a petition for that as well. But Warner Brothers even came out and said that they're not going to do it. But you know, that makes some sense because there's a Suicide Squad movie about to be released. So it would be kind of, you know, it would be weird if they just said, "Oh no, okay, we're going to release a different version of the old one."
Yeah.
Maybe if they wait a couple of years and then release a special version.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that hopefully Warner Brothers is getting on track here. If they just need to get out of the way of the directors. You hire these people for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
If you wanted to recut their movies all the time, then just like have the studio execs direct the movie and see how that goes for you. Like,
and you know, I heard there's 4-hour cut of Watchmen. Is that true? Like
probably, but that's one I'm always going to disagree with Zack Snyder on his take on that. Like,
I'm gonna Google that.
I always feel like he missed the point with that.
Man, I gotta disagree with you on that because I do love that movie.
Oh, hi, Ronnie. Hey, we got a dog. Hi.
Director's cut.
Did you go for a walk? Huh? What is it?
Well, it's not 4 hours, but it's 3.5 hours.
Right. Oh man, you smell like outside. Was it raining?
It's supposed to snow.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Can
look.
you howl for the camera? Can you howl?
So there is a Watchmen extended edition. It's 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And it got released in 2019.
Yeah, I'll talk favorite superhero movies with you, but I'm not gonna rewatch them. I was
Watchmen.
Yeah. Also the TV show they just had is excellent in
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I still have to watch the TV show. I've heard it's good. It got canceled after the one season though, didn't it?
No, he just did. Damon Lindelof said he's not going to do another one. That's it.
It was a mini series.
HBO wanted him to do more, and people have wanted more. But he's like, this is the season that I planned to do, and everybody involved in the show also said, well, we won't do it if Damon Lindelof doesn't do it, and so.
I like the format of miniseries. I think they should have more of those.
If you guys watch it, we should talk about it. It's a maybe late to talk about a couple years later, but it's still fantastic. And if we want to revisit that in lieu of the comic and the movie, then that would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I mean, we can do both, I guess. Talk about the TV show and the movie. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyways, any final thoughts on Justice League, Snyder's Cut?
I'm happy that this movie got released for Zack Snyder on that alone, and that now I hope Warner Brothers will stay out of the way of their directors.
Daniel you have a very clear idea of about this issue.
Yeah, I think this is clearly an issue of over 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 like just zealous
Overreach of management.
Yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you guys are worried about losing your money, but you know what? You're gonna probably make good money on these regardless, because guess what? The two most popular comic book characters are in this movie, Batman and Superman. Everyone's gonna watch it because of that.
You really got to mess it up not to make money with Batman and Superman. I mean,
These are the only two movies where this has happened: the Batman v Superman and Justice League. Can you believe that that has not happened in a movie format before, where they have been together? That's why it's like there's no way they could have messed up. So just let your directors do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of there's a lot of demand from executives. I was watching a video essay today about Treasure Planet and why it failed.
Was that the Lindsay Ellis video?
No, it's a Bread Sword video.
Okay.
But he was talking about how, despite the fact that the movie is like good despite flaws in the source material, one of the biggest things that affected it was Disney's insistence on using deep canvas technology, and how Pixar was kind of in like this golden age of 3D movies. So everyone was really interested in seeing things like that. And also it was just like competition in the box office for that year, where that year, the other big movie that was coming out was Harry Potter 1.
Oh, yeah. That was a big year.
Well, yeah, he compared it to...
If it was that year, it was also the Lord of the Rings year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the movie, like, you know, they just kind of realized that no matter what they did, like, people weren't going to see the movie, so they kind of just let it die on the vine, was, like, his second whole point about the entire movie. But there was some other Disney movie that was much crappier that did well just because it wasn't competing with anything.
I think what that one would be.
I mean, Disney movies usually do well, but those movies were not that good. Those Disney movies, and they were competing also against Pixar, DreamWorks, which were doing much better work.
People that were actually trying to be creative, and let's let the creativity fly. If it fails, it fails, but you're gonna probably hit more than you miss, given the source material and the popularity of it.
Yeah, I mean, Disney was really strong in the 90s, and then they start trying to copy Pixar and DreamWorks, and it really went downhill from there.
Yeah, the mid-aughts for, I think, Disney were not great.
Yeah, and it's still really a shame. I mean, this is not related to Justice League, but it's still really a shame that Disney stopped making traditional animation movies, because that was really Disney, So it's kind of a shame that, and essentially that whole art form died. And money. Yeah,
it's much more expensive to make movies that way. I think only Miyazaki will make a movie that way anymore, animated wise.
And I was gonna say,
Disney doesn't even have 2D animators on staff, or the only ones they do are animators who manage the light projection effects at Disney World.
Right.
And it's sad because even the latest Studio Ghibli movie is it's a computer animated movie now.
Yeah, but wasn't that one done by Miyazaki's son and not
Miyazaki's son, and apparently it's very bad. It's on HBO Max as well.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and it's maybe not even Miyazaki anymore. Well, I think he's working on a movie again, but
that poor guy needs to retire.
he's a pretty old dude at this point, so who knows if he'll finish it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's yeah, traditional animation is dying. Um, there are people doing some fantastic work with 3D modeling. There's some animes now that, but it is sad that we are losing like the traditional, because there's some things you just can't do as well. Like, yeah, you can get better motion, but I feel like, we still have issues with uncanny valley with that.
I think you're definitely right, especially in anime. But
Mm.
after watching the video I was just talking about, it kind of made me realize that there was this whole period where, like, if you look at like Tarzan, like, and I'm gonna look into it a little bit more, but the deep canvas technology that Disney used is really fascinating because it basically was just them building like a 3D modeled environment and then running a digital camera through it and taking keyframes and sending those to the animators and having like the 2D animators work up sketches for it around that. And if you look at like any of those movies that use that technology, you really don't see the 3D and you don't get the same like jarring effects like a la Berserk 2016 or like any low budget anime with crappy CG.
Right.
So it just kind of makes me wonder if there's something about like the way the anime industry is doing 3D where they're not committing to it. But I feel like Disney mastered that with movies like Lilo and Stitch, where like they use 3D effects just fine and it was never jarring because like it works and it works because you don't notice it.
Right.
well,
Good stuff.
Yeah, let's end the podcast. All right. Any final words about the Justice League? Or that's it?
I don't want to go back in a circle. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This is it.